Welcome to the Inside Pitch. It is February 5th. I don't know what episode this is. It's been a long time, but I want to talk about baseball. It's getting to that time. We're about a week out from spring training, or for everyone's pitchers and catchers reporting. I think it's a week away, or as of Friday, it will be a week away for every team. But anyway, this offseason has been slowly crawling along. And finally, one of the big names that was on the board is off the board. And Framber Valdez signs with the Detroit Tigers on a 3-year deal worth $115 million. And that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. That comes out to, I think, $38 million a year about. Framber's 32. They're going to arguably have the best lefty punch in baseball with Tarek Skubal at the top of the rotation. But I did not have this on my bingo card. I thought Framber was going to go to maybe the Mets, maybe the Orioles. Those were two looking to find a frontline starter. However, with the Mets trading for Freddie Peralta, that probably should have given me clues that they probably weren't going to sign him, because I think extending Freddie Peralta is going to be their number one priority. But that's neither here nor there. Framber was on the board for a long time. He was for a good reason, I think, because he had some questionable antics with the Houston Astros over the summer, and I think it shied a lot of teams away. And we all thought it was going to cost him a lot more money than maybe it did, at least AAV wise. But long story short, he crossed up his catcher intentionally after giving up a grand slam to, I believe it was Trent Grisham. And a lot of people thought it was going to cost him a lot of money because this was his walk year. However, on an AAV basis, I don't think it did. But on a yearly basis, maybe this cost him a little bit. Maybe some teams were originally going to be willing to give him like 5-6 years with a similar AAV, maybe not 38 mil, because that's a lot of money, especially when you factor in Aaron Judge gets 40 mil a year. However, that is a longer contract. So I'm not the best. I'm not the smartest guy, especially I think you can tell that by just how I speak. But I think this tells us that maybe the Detroit Tigers know it's going to be the last year for Tarek Skubal to be on that team. I don't think there's any hope for an extension, because he's going to want to test free agency, because he's going to end up being the highest paid pitcher probably in baseball history, depending on what the lockout situation is in 2027, because I think it's coming. We all know it's coming. Things are not looking great, especially with contract situations, and say what you will about deferrals. Is that ruining baseball? I don't know. I don't have a dog in the fight necessarily, but I wouldn't mind to see them limited. That's neither here nor there. But do the Tigers have a very, very good shot at winning the Central? And I believe yes. I mean, what did they do last year? They were what? They tied, I believe, they tied the division, I think. Yeah, no, one game behind the Cleveland Guardians. They fell one game short of the division, and they would have lost the tiebreaker. So you could say they finished 2 games below the division winner. And I feel like that's underperforming. They were absolutely god awful to finish the year. So if they performed up to task, like up to how they were playing in the beginning of the year, I think it's easily one of the best teams in the AL, especially if they do play, like I just said, up to their standards from last year. I mean, look at all these red. Look at this red after the All-Star break. They lost 8 out of 9 games following the All-Star break, and then they went on another horrendous run at the end of the year where they lost 5, 6, 7, 8 games in a row, and then they split the last 4. So that is just awful. And when you factor in the 4 games before the All-Star break, starting on July 9th, they went for 1 and 12, I believe. That's just terrible. And I don't think they're going to do that again. I think they're going to have a tremendous season as far as the AL Central is concerned, because I don't really think The Guardians have done anything. The Royals have done very, very minimal to move the needle, in my opinion. I know they just traded for Isaac Collins, who was great for the Milwaukee Brewers last year. Great rookie. He's a little bit older. We'll see how he grades out in Kansas City. I know they moved the fences in, so maybe I'm just talking out of my ass and the Royals are going to do something. But I mean, the Tigers could have easily won 90 to 92 games last year if they just didn't blow it. And adding Framber, they also haven't subtracted anything really. So you look at their rotation, it's Skubal, Framber Valdez, Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, and Reese Olson. Very, very good rotation from top to bottom. I know Reese Olson only threw 21 starts last year. Sorry. Casey Mize had a pretty decent year. He started off a lot better than how he finished, I believe. Jack Flaherty, he's been a decent pitcher for years. And Tarek Skubal, I mean, best pitcher in baseball. In the AL, at least, best lefty in baseball right now. Fangraphs has him overall number one. You're not going to catch me saying that anyone will beat him out. I think him and Paul Skeens are 1A and 1B. However you want to stack them, I don't think you're wrong. But I definitely do think the Tigers have a great lineup, a great roster. I mean, you look at this lineup, Cole Keith. I mean, I know these projected lineups could be a little bit not accurate, but when you look at this at face value, Colt Keith going to be their opening day third baseman, apparently, to Fangraphs, projected to have a 113 WRC plus. Let's get rid of the projections and just look at the stats that they had last year. Colt Keith, 109 WRC plus and 468 plate appearances, 1.6 WAR. I like that. I mean, that's a good year. There's obviously room for improvement. He's with his inexperience. They did re-sign Gleyber Torres, who performed pretty well. He performed pretty well back with the Tigers this past season as a free agent. Let's see who else. Who else they got? Kerry Carpenter. I mean, he's done very, very well in his time. I mean, he's a kind of a one-dimensional player, but he's going to hit you close to 30 bombs, a 114 OPS plus last year, close to 800 OPS. I mean, you go up and down this. 2.9 WAR for Riley Green. I mean, WAR isn't everything, and this is the dude who put up 36 homers, 111 RBIs. He's 24 years old, or he's going to be 25 years old, entering his 25-year-old season. He does strike out a ton, but you factor in the OPS plus, the OPS in general, 806, 36 bombs, 111 RBI, like I just mentioned. He doesn't walk. I mean, if he can turn some of those strikeouts into walks or turn some of those strikeouts into at least putting the ball in play, you got yourself a real contender for MVP, potentially. I mean, it's hard to... When I say contender for someone like this, it means probably top 10. Top 10, maybe top 8. Because, I mean, it's hard to compete with you when you got guys with like Judge and Bobby Wood Jr. and Gunnar Henderson, guys who do very well overall throughout the game. You got Spencer Torkelson, former 1-1, who kind of turned a corner. I know he had a rough 2024. He started off hot last year. He got a little cool, but I mean, maybe he finds another level and keeps improving. Last year, Juancillo Perez, WRC plus 103. Zach McKinstry, WRC plus 114. Dylan Dingler had a fantastic year, 4.1 WAR, 109 WRC plus. Parker Meadows is kind of the only odd man out, kind of the only guy with a negative overall performance, 621 OPS. Then you got guys on the bench, Jahmai Jones had a fantastic year in limited time. Javi Baez, who we kind of saw a little bit of a resurgence, that kind of died out. He's going to be in his age 33-year-old season. I don't think we get a repeat of what he did at the beginning of the year last year. He was an all-star, which is crazy to say, crazy to think about. That's kind of nuts. And look at the bullpen. They did sign Kenley Jansen, who had a very, very good year last year. Will Vest was very, very good. Kyle Finnegan was very, very good. And then you got some guys who, you know, were okay, but not amazing. Brennan Hanafy, I don't know who you are, but 0.6 WAR out of the bullpen is not bad. not bad. Although his underlying numbers, 6 Ks per 9, 2 walks per 9 though. But you want to see some guys in the bullpen with a higher K per 9. Bo Breesky, kind of a rough year. And by kind of a rough year, I mean negative 0.5 WAR last year, which is rough. Very big negative is that Jackson Jobe is, I mean, do we see him pitch next year? If anything, he might just be coming back from Tommy John, which he had mid-June last year. So I don't really know what the timetable is for him. Hopefully we see him. I think Tiger fans just want to see him progress with health. I think if they need him in the pen, maybe they bring him up in August or September if his rehab is going well. I don't know if he had the brace procedure. I think it does specify in the injury report on Fangraphs, but this just says Tommy John surgery. So I'm not really sure if that is the brace or not. I don't think it is. But I think this is a very good roster. And as far as AL Central goes, this is the team to beat. They underperformed last year. They are at least going to keep their win total. I mean, you add Framber, that's another fantastic starter. So it's just a very, very good time to be a Tigers fan. And I don't think they're going to be competing this year. I don't think they're going to trade Skubal mid-season. So I think the teams that were clamoring, or the fans that were clamoring for the Tigers to trade Skubal to the Dodgers, trade Skubal to the Mets, however you may see, I just don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not saying those fans were wrong for saying that. Would it be a good move for Detroit to trade him if they weren't going to compete? I mean, you could get a haul for him, obviously. But anyway, I think the Tigers are the team to beat in the AL. And I mean, I'm excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see what they do. I really hope that Riley Green, Torkelson, and Cole Keith can take steps forward. And God, how can Tarek Skubal take a step forward? But anyway, that kind of leads me to my next point in Framber getting $38 million a year. That's actually nuts to me, because I mean, I was about to say I love Framber. I don't love Framber. I really am not a Framber fan just because of the intentional cross up in the middle of the summer. But I like if you showed me his stats and you didn't give me his name, I'd be like, all right, I'm a fan of what he does. I like very much what Framber does. And I'm trying to bring this Baseball Reference screen up, and my computer is just having a tough time. Anytime you have Fangraphs pulled up, it's just like your computer is going to want to really stall. And it goes from a slight jog to a very low paced walk uphill through molasses or mud or Guinness. I don't know. What's your thick drink of choice? That sounded wrong. You can go ahead and put it in the comments, though. This will be a full episode on YouTube. So we're going to have comments and also questions, concerns, whatever you may be in the comments. And also, I'm going to take this time just to say, throw it a like if you like this style of content. If you want to hear more of my garbage takes and my garbage baseball talk, I just like talking baseball. So I'm going to keep doing this as long as I enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, that's a plus. That's a plus. Just subscribe. I'd love to get 100 subscribers before the end of spring training. That's a goal. I'm 11 away. We are 11 away because it's me and you all listening. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Framber Valdez going into his age 32 season. Last year, pretty decent. 1.245 whip. I mean, that's on par with his career average. 192 innings pitched. I mean, he's going to give you innings. 31 game start, ERA of 3.66, 13-11. The wins and losses is his record. 3.8 BWAR. Wins and losses. Most important stat in baseball. I'm just kidding. I don't want you all coming for me with the torches and pitchforks. Please don't do that. I got enough of that going on in real life. I'm not going to put any stock in these projections in Baseball Reference, but he is going to a pitcher-friendly park. But this is what gets you $38 million a year. I mean, I know it's a little bit inflated. I think this pitching class was a little bit weak, so he was kind of one of the headliners, the headliner pitcher, if you will. Kyle Tucker was the headliner hitter. He got 4 years, $60 million, which is another thing that is crazy money to me when Anyway, I'm ranting. I'm ranting. As Dennis Reynolds would say, would you just let me riff? Would you just let me riff? But anyway, two-time All-Star. One-time Cy Young finished in the top 5. Like, if you can decode the sentence I was speaking. I'm not an English major. But 3.66 ERA is actually his highest since 2019 when he was a reliever and 25 years old, where he put up a negative WAR. That's not really that important. FIP is very much in line with the last 4 years. You go 3.37 this year, then to 3.25, then to 3.5, 3.06. And I mean, he's just kind of a workhorse. He's going to get you around a low to mid 3 ERA. I know 2022 and 2024, it was just below a 3. Strikeout per 9, right around 8.5 to 9. I know 9.1 to be pulling hairs was in 2023. Struck out 200 batters in 2023. I mean, not striking out players. He's going to get ground balls. He's going to get ground balls. He's going to keep the ball in the yard. He gave up 15 homers all of last year. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a tick less, because he's going to be in a pitcher-friendly park. The thing I will remember Framber most, though, in the Houston Astros uniform, is giving up the first home run of the World Series in 2021 to Jorge Soler, and the grand slam given up to Adam Duvall in Truist in that same World Series. I'm a Braves fan. But as the years go on, I just enjoy talking about baseball no matter what. So when it comes to Framber and his underlying metrics, I know you see Eugenio Suarez pulled up right now. We'll get to his contract. We'll get to him. As I type in Suarez, I'm just so out of the loop. You'll have to forgive me because it's been a while. And Framber's face in a Baseball Savant was not Framber's face for just a second. But you look at his Baseball Savant page, it's not a lot of red, but the important thing is that he does keep the ball on the ground. However, we could see a little bit of inflated ERA, whatever runs given up, because I mean, he had Jeremy Pena behind him and Christian Walker, although Christian Walker had a god awful year at first base last year. So that may neither be here nor there. I would have to go back and look at the rest of the infield's fielding metrics for Houston. But I mean, I know Jeremy Pena is a fantastic fielder. He's not going to have Jeremy Pena for the Detroit Tigers, obviously. What was his red looking like in 2024, 2023? I mean, it's not that much different. It's not that much different. He's always been a great ground ball guy. Expected ERA is around similar to what his actual ERA was. He's so good at just limiting exit velo. He's just been the same dude for like 4 years. So the Detroit Tigers got themselves a very, very good starting pitcher up at the top. Him, Skubal, and whoever you want pitching game 3 of a short series, of a 5-game series in the ALDS. You got a pretty good chance. Got a very, very good chance. It would be nice to see them add like a bullpen arm or something. But Framber is a good pitcher. Don't like his character per se. But maybe it's just a lapse of judgment. You know, one bad thing on that level doesn't define your entire character. But I know I've heard reports. I don't have anything specific to say that he's had this type of problem for years and that he's been a clubhouse issue. Take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% certain on that one. But if you look here, 5 days until pitchers and catchers report. So my God, it's happening. The best thing I like about the Super Bowl is when it ends, because it's officially baseball season. 27 days into the World Baseball Classic, by the way. That's incredible. As I take a sip of coffee. Also, one of the crazier contracts I've seen, 38 mil is just crazy to me. I mean, let's look at some free agent trackers. I mean, Kyle Tucker getting 60. Who are some other guys that got around 38 mil a year that were on Framber's level? I'm not saying, I mean, I was going to say, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's not up to me, of course. It's up to the GM of teams and whatever they decide a player's worth. I mean, we're seeing a lot of these high AAVs, low years. I think we're making a shift. We're making a shift in baseball. You see Bo Bichette getting, what was it, 3 years, 42 mil, an opt out after his first year. That's an insane deal as well. And I really like that deal for Bo Bichette. And I'm kind of surprised that he didn't get a longer deal, but I mean, he's betting on himself. I don't know if Framber's contract has any opt outs. I mean, you look at Bo Bichette, he's 27 years old. He's been one of the league leaders, if not the league leader in hits for the last however many years, except for 2024, because he was hurt. He was also hurt at the end of last year, but he had that mammoth home run in Game 7 of the World Series, which is just, oh my God, that was an insane home run. I thought it was over after that. Obviously, it wasn't. Bo will turn 28 in spring training. So he got 42 mil a year, 2-time All-Star. Same thing with Framber. And he put up a 311 average. The power was, I don't want to say it was just gone from him. 18 homers compared to like 29, 24, 20 in his full seasons as a big leaguer. He did get MVP votes last year, and he's gotten MVP votes in 4 years since 2021. That is a great player. And 42 mil. If he opts out from 42 mil after this year, like I was really surprised Bregman opted out after this year when he put up, he missed about half the season, or maybe not half the season, but a good chunk of the season. I don't remember exactly. Sometimes I'm a little too busy with work and everything to keep up with everything that goes on in the baseball world. But he's going to have to crush it to opt out of that deal. And, with the lockout and everything, he might opt in. He might opt in. But a lot of people smarter than me will talk about the lockout more. I think there's going to be something coming. There's just needs to be something fixed as far as players getting paid. I think there has to be something fixed with there is a shift. There is starting to be a shift where, back in the 90s or so, when I was growing up, a guy would peak around 30 or even early 30s. You just don't see that anymore. 32 is just kind of old nowadays. 32, 33. I mean, you're seeing the young kids take over the sport nowadays. And that just shows my age. I'm super old right now. But anyway, yeah, we are seeing a shift in how contracts are structured, how contracts work. I mean, are the last double-digit year contracts going to end up being Xander Bogaerts and like Trey Turner? Because we all know one of those is aging super, super poorly. Trey Turner's, that is yet to be determined. I think he's going to age a lot better than Xander Bogaerts. And now I've gone on full riff mode. But anyway, I kind of wanted to bring these contracts up because Eugenio Suarez just signed with the Reds for $15 million. And I'm not saying I'm not saying that emphatically because I think that's expensive, because the dude hit 49 homers last year. The dude hit 49 homers last year. That's what 49 homers gets you. I mean, of course, there's more to baseball than just hitting bombs. But I mean, let's look at the numbers here. Let's look at the numbers. And it's not like he's falling off year to year. There might be another sign that he's falling off in a different way, in a different micro sample. But it could just be certain circumstances, because what did he do last year? 3.6 BWAR, 49 homers, 228 batting average, which, I mean, if you hit 49 bombs, who cares about a 228 batting average, in my opinion? Sub 300 on base percentage, which is it's meh. It's not good. Although, of course, like I just said, 49 homers. Slugging percentage, 526. OPS was 824. Now, when you see a guy hitting 49 homers, you would think the OPS would be a little bit bigger. It's being weighed down by that low on base percentage. OPS plus 126. However, it is not like he has been going down year to year. Let's go look at the numbers. Seattle, in 2023. Horrible year by his standards. 22 homers, 2.4 BWAR, 214 strikeouts, led the league with a 232 average, 323 on base, which is kind of crazy that his on base was a good amount higher that year than this year, but only a 391 slug. So you got to put the full picture together. 714 OPS, which is barely above league average this year with an OPS plus of 103. It seems like he just doesn't play well in Seattle, which I'll bring up again here in a second. Arizona last year, a better year, a much better year. 115 OPS plus. I know I'm going through the stats in reverse. 788 OPS. On base was about the same, 319. Slugging was a lot higher, about 80 points higher, 469, 256 batting average. He cut like 40 strikeouts off, which is fantastic. Walked a lot less, but he hit more homers, 30 homers. He stays with Arizona 2025. And in 387 at bats, I'm sorry, which is almost 200 less at bats than in 2024 with Arizona, he hit 6 more homers. 36 homers before the trade deadline, 87 RBI. He was hitting 248, 320 on base, 576 slug for an almost 900 OPS in Arizona last year. Age 33 season, OPS plus during that time, 142. However, he goes to Seattle, where everything just kind of falls off a cliff except for the power. I mean, even the power just, it's hard to say it falls off when you still hit 13 homers and 201 at bats. But everything else just falls off. He had 201 at bats in the second half of last year with Seattle, 79 strikeouts. That's pretty much just a 40% strikeout rate, which is definitely not sustainable. I just don't think he sees the ball well in Seattle. 13 home runs still, 31 RBI, 17 walks, which is, I mean, that's a better walk percentage than it was in Arizona. But I mean, he was probably struggling to hit. I mean, 189 average with Seattle last year, 682 OPS, 94 OPS plus. So I think that definitely tanked his market a little bit. But there are two sides to just kind of talk about there. Is it because he was in Seattle where historically he just hasn't played well? Or was it because he was kind of falling off or so? I mean, he's getting a little bit older. This is going to be his age 34 season. So maybe he's just kind of a little bit worn down as the season goes on. However, you could argue that that's not the case because he did perform a little bit better in the playoffs. 18 strikeouts and 47 at bats, though, around the similar strikeout percentage. But OPS is 700, 3 homers in the postseason, 8 RBI. I mean, you take 3 homers in the postseason, especially most guys don't hit 3 homers, especially if they play all postseason, World Series included. They didn't make it to the World Series, obviously, but he was a big help in almost getting Seattle to the World Series. But I think Eugenio Suarez is going to be a great fit in Cincinnati because it's familiar to him. He's always done very, very well in Cincinnati. And let's take a look at what he's done in Cincinnati. I mean, this was when he first was coming up. He's also has a 49 homer season under his belt there. He got MVP votes in Cincinnati. He was an all-star in Cincinnati. And I mean, it's just going to be familiar to him. And I also don't think he's going to have to worry about fielding, where he wasn't a very good fielder last year. 9th percentile and outs above average. Arm strength, whatever. 39th percentile sprint speed, whatever. But I think he's going to end up being a DH for Cincinnati, which is going to be fantastic for him, I think. I mean, there's always going to be the dudes it's going to be a little bit tougher to get used to that mode, used to playing the field all the time. It's kind of hard just to come off the bench for 4 at-bats, kind of cold. But maybe he's one of those dudes that embrace it. You never know. You never really know. Or I don't know. I don't know, but I think this is going to make the Reds kind of competitive, or somewhat kind of competitive, somewhat competitive. They mean the same thing. Why would I say that? But this kind of makes their lineup a little bit deeper. And I kind of like what the Reds have going on. I mean, you got a couple dudes out there who are young, who are exciting. I think Ellie De La Cruz, hopefully he takes a step forward. It feels like he's been in the league forever, yet he just turned 24. He got Noah V. Marte, who put up a 101 WRC plus last year. It kind of learned a new position on the fly, learning right field on the fly. That's kind of wild, actually. Learning right field on the fly. Let's go to Baseball Reference to get a clearer look at what they did as a team, as a group. They finished 83 and 79. I mean, third place in the NL Central. I mean, I've always said the AL Central kind of, it's a crapshoot. Anyone can win the AL Central. I used to say that about the NL Central, but I think right now the Cubs and the Brewers are definitely the team to beat. I think the Reds could be a sneaky competitive team in that division. I don't know if they can really challenge the Cubs for what they did in the offseason. And the Brewers, I mean, they never have big off seasons. They just keep replenishing. I mean, they traded away Freddie Peralta this year. So some people might say that's just bad for them and they're not going to compete. However, they did the same thing with Corbin Burns a couple of years ago, and then they won the division, or they traded Corbin Burns or whatever. You know what I'm talking about. They traded him in 2023, and then in 2024 they won the division, or at least made the playoffs, or at least were competitive. My memory's a little bit fuzzy. Correct me down in the comments. But you got Friedel, Marte, Ellie De La Cruz. Friedel and Marte had kind of strong seasons, or at least average seasons. You got Friedel, 261 average, 742 OPS. Noah V. Marte in kind of limited appearances, 99 OPS plus, 748 OPS. This is park adjusted, so the OPS plus is a little bit lower when you have an OPS of around 750 or a little bit higher OPS, if that makes sense. Matt McClain had a pretty poor year. Spencer Steer had like an average year. I think it's safe to say that a lot of these guys underperformed for where everyone thought they were going to perform. Spencer Steer's had some good seasons. Matt McClain has had one good season, and they're still young. Spencer Steer, Matt McClain, a little bit younger. Ellie De La Cruz, he's going to be 24 for the whole year. Marte, young. They don't have Gavin Lux anymore. So they definitely do need some help performing offensively. So I do think this can be a good lineup. Sal Stewart coming up in a small sample size. He was nuts. They did get JJ Bleday, who we've seen a little bit, a small sample size of success with the bat in Oakland in 2024. And, you know, they got some guys who have had flashes of brilliance. Okay, Brian Hayes is amazing at third base in the field. I think he did a little bit better with the Reds when he went over there after the trade. But I do think Eugenio Suarez is going to make this lineup a lot better. They needed a thumper in the middle of the lineup besides Ellie De La Cruz. Ellie De La Cruz also just kind of fell off in the second half. What did he do? Have 2 homers through June and July or something like that? And he's going to get better. I think he's going to get better. Sal Stewart could be that guy. He's been one of the best hitters in the minors last year. And in the small sample size that he did play was really, really promising. 121 OPS plus in 55 at bats. And I am honestly stoked for him just myself because he's on my fantasy baseball team. And I have a dynasty league, which is neither here nor there, but looking at his baseball savant page, I am very, very excited of what he could potentially do. And this would be a very, very big help for that Reds lineup. I mean, look at that red in the first 6 categories or so. And he's 22 years old. He's been the number 1 prospect for the Reds this past year, 31 overall. And what did he do last year in the minors? I mean, I would hate to rely so much on just a prospect, a rookie, if you will, to really depend on making your lineup, lengthy, if that makes sense. What did he do last year in the minors? Show non-major. Let me see the non-major portion of his baseball reference page. What did he do? Last year, across AAA and AA, he hit 309 with a 383 on base and a 524 slug for an OPS of 907. 20 homers, 80 RBI. He stole 17 bags. He doesn't seem like a speedy dude right off the rip, in my opinion. But you look at 437 at bats, and he only struck out 77 times. That's a very, very promising just overall hitter, overall masher. You need to see the on base about 70 points higher than the batting average. I like that. I like a guy who takes his walks, and it's going to be his age 22 season. However, I want to try to look at it with a little bit of what is it? Delayed or skeptic optimism. Geez, what is wrong with me? But I do think this lineup has potential. And when you look at the rotation, I mean, their rotation is pretty good, pretty underrated. I don't think enough people talk about the rotation. Hunter Green could be one of the best pitchers in baseball, only 19 starts last year. But we've seen him just kind of pop off in years before. He's only 26 and a half years old. God, I hate saying half. What's it going to be, his age 27 season? Or no, it's going to be his age 26 season. Andrew Abbott, same thing. Workhorse last year. And it's tough to post an ERA under 3 in Great American Ballpark. But he did it in 29 starts. Brady Singer, an acquisition that they got from the Royals in a trade before last season started. Fantastic, or not fantastic year, but good year. Then Nick Lodolo, who's quietly been a really, really good lefty. And I quotes quietly in my opinion. I don't think we see enough people talk about him. Then Chase Burns, who is a flamethrower, who has unlimited potential. He's going to be 23 this whole year. He, in 43 and a third innings pitched, he threw almost to a 14 K per 9 rate. Did get in trouble with walks a little bit, but this has the makings of a very, very good rotation if everyone stays healthy. If you get 27, 28 starts out of Hunter Green, I mean, he's going to get Cy Young votes, in my opinion. Did Andrew Abbott get Cy Young votes? I feel like he did. Let's go take a look at the what the survey says. Survey says, I mean, I love Family Feud, by the way. It's awesome. He did get Cy Young votes. Finished 8th and was an all-star. 5.6 B WAR. So I am very, very excited about this Reds club. And I do think that Eugenio Suarez really, really helps. I mean, he could hit 50 homers in Cincinnati. I'm kind of curious now. What do the numbers say? What would he have hit at Cincinnati alone? Expected home runs by park. That's what I'm trying to say. It says 54 for last year. 54 for last year, which is not a fluke. I mean, you go look at this, and I guess this is the average across parks. I mean, it's low on your screen. 52 homers on average. His expected home runs by park, the amount of stadiums he would have hit 50. I'm going to list them off. Toronto, the White Sox, which is crazy, the Twins, the Astros, Athletics, Mariners, which is interesting to me, Braves, Phillies, Mets, the Reds, Brewers, and the Rockies and the Dodgers stadium, all those stadiums, all those teams, if he would have played all of his games at all those stadiums, 50 plus. That's nutty to me. And I know homers aren't the only thing. Blah, blah, blah. They help. They help a lot. One of the first things people look at through a stat line is how many homers they hit. I mean, some of the first things I'm starting to look at is OPS and OPS plus. But homers is right up there. How much damage are you doing? I wish they could combine. I mean, you can do the math yourself. This would be a small quality of life update, but I wish there was a stat on the line that just said extra base hits. I would absolutely love that. But anyway, that's kind of just what I wanted to talk about today. I just wanted to talk about a couple things that have been on my mind when it comes to baseball. And I would like to maybe get another one of these out this weekend. Let me know what you think about any of these situations where you would agree with or where you would disagree with. did you even understand my words? Not because of your lack of comprehension, but my lack of stringing a good sentence together and not just pausing and going on little mini rants. Let me know how I can improve these. Do you like the screen setup with my camera right here, looking at the stats on my left, your right? Do you like that? And appreciate if you threw this a like. And if you're just listening on YouTube audio, there is a video portion if you want to subscribe to the channel. And I would love to see you there. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point, but thank you for following and listening. It's been a long time, so hopefully I can get some more out there this season. And just let me know. Just keep me on track. Keep me on track. If you like this and you want to hear more, let me know in the comments. So, and hearing feedback that you want me to keep doing these, that makes me want to do it. Not saying that I need that to want to do it. I should want to do it on my own, but it certainly does help with a little bit of motivation. And I'm going to stop relying on motivation because I'm just going to do the thing, right? Right? One of these years I'll do the thing. But anyway, thank you all so much. I'm rambling at this point and I'm just going to stop this now. So later.